The world was calm when the first signs appeared in the sky. People were busy in their daily lives. Children were going to school, workers were rushing to their jobs, and families were enjoying breakfast at home. The sky was blue, the streets were crowded, and everything felt normal. But far above the clouds, something was watching, something that did not belong to Earth. At first, the signs were small. Satellites suddenly lost connection. Television broadcasts went silent. Air traffic controllers complained of strange signals interfering with their systems. Scientists were confused, thinking it was some natural disturbance, maybe a solar storm or a technical failure. But the truth was far more terrifying. It began when people in different cities looked up and saw strange shadows moving across the clouds. The sunlight dimmed, and the ground shook with a low hum, as if the sky itself was alive. Phones captured blurry shapes, and videos spread across the internet. Some thought it was a hoax, others laughed, but fear started to grow. Governments ordered calm, but nobody could explain what was happening. The news channels repeated the same words, unidentified objects above major cities. Then the silence came. It was not the silence of nature, but the silence of machines. Engines stopped, radios went dead, and the power grid failed in many countries at once. The world entered a strange darkness. People ran outside, gathering in the streets, pointing at the sky. And then, everyone saw them clearly. Massive ships, larger than skyscrapers, floated above the cities. Their shape was nothing like human aircraft. They were dark, metallic, and alive with strange lights that moved like veins of fire. There were dozens of them, each one covering entire districts with their shadows. Panic spread instantly. Some screamed, others prayed, and many just froze in fear. In New York, traffic crashed to a stop as people left their cars and stared upward. In Beijing, soldiers rushed to their posts but found their radios useless. In Karachi, families gathered on rooftops, whispering prayers as the massive shadow blocked the sun. In Moscow, church bells rang as citizens filled the streets, unsure if it was the end of days. Humanity had always wondered about life in space, but no one had expected this. The visitors had arrived, and they were not small, not weak, not curious. They were powerful, silent, and watching. Hours passed, but the ships did not move. They did not speak, they did not attack, they simply waited above the cities like predators circling their prey. Scientists tried sending signals, governments attempted communication, but no response came. Some leaders begged for peace, others prepared for war, but the aliens gave nothing in return. It was as if they were studying humanity, measuring fear, enjoying the chaos they had caused without firing a single shot. Inside homes, families clung to each other. Parents whispered to their children that everything would be fine, though they did not believe it themselves. Shops were looted, banks were broken into, and society began to crumble in just one day. All because of the silent giants in the sky. Religious leaders declared it a test of faith, scientists argued it was first contact, but the common man saw only one thing: death was coming. As night fell, the ships lit up with eerie green lights that covered the cities in an unnatural glow. Streets looked like alien landscapes, buildings cast strange shadows, and the air felt heavy with energy. Some brave people tried to approach the landing sites, but the moment they came too close, their bodies collapsed as if their life had been drained. No one understood the technology, no one had answers, and no one could fight back. In the United Nations headquarters, world leaders gathered in desperation. Fear was visible on their faces. Generals demanded immediate military response, while diplomats cried for negotiations. But how do you negotiate with silence, with giants who do not even acknowledge your existence? The world was divided, but united in one feeling: helplessness. Meanwhile, deep inside the alien ships, something was moving. Dark shapes with long limbs and glowing eyes watched humans with cold interest. Their armor shone like steel, their bodies were tall and terrifying, and their movements were too precise to be natural. These were not visitors, they were conquerors, and Earth was their target. The first day of arrival ended with a heavy truth. Humanity was no longer alone. The blue sky that once gave comfort now carried shadows of doom. People who looked up that night saw no stars, only the dark hulls of alien machines. Fear spread through every heart, and a question echoed in every mind. Why were they here, and what did they want? The answer did not come that night, but the silence itself was more frightening than any battle. It was the silence of hunters waiting for the right moment to strike. And when that strike came, the world would never be the same again. The second day began with a sky that looked the same as before, but the world was no longer the same. People had not slept. Some had stayed awake staring at the alien ships, others had locked themselves inside their homes. Fear hung in the air heavier than the morning fog. Across the cities, silence was broken only by whispers, prayers, and the occasional sound of chaos in the streets. Then, without warning, the waiting ended. At sunrise, the ships moved. For hours they had floated in silence, but now they came alive with a deep roar that shook the buildings below. The green lights along their hulls turned into burning red veins. The hum grew louder, and then came the first strike. In New York, a beam of pure energy burst from the belly of the ship. It did not explode like a missile, it erased everything it touched. Skyscrapers melted into glowing metal, cars vaporized, and thousands of people vanished in a single flash. The blast cut through the heart of the city, leaving behind nothing but smoke and silence. Across the world, the same horror repeated. In Beijing, military bases turned into ash. In Moscow, entire districts collapsed into fire. In London, the Tower Bridge crumbled as the river boiled below. In Karachi, soldiers fired helplessly into the sky before their tanks melted like wax. The attack was not random. The aliens targeted power plants, military zones, and centers of communication. They were not just attacking cities, they were cutting the nerves of humanity, making sure no one could resist. Governments tried to respond. Fighter jets launched into the sky, missiles flew toward the alien ships, and ground troops fired every weapon they had. For a moment, the world felt hope, but then they saw the truth. The alien shields were invisible walls of energy. Missiles exploded harmlessly before reaching their targets. Jets lost control as strange signals scrambled their systems. Tanks fired shells that bounced back, crushing their own crews. The most advanced human weapons were useless, and the aliens destroyed them with ease. In Washington, generals screamed into dead radios. In Moscow, commanders slammed their fists in despair. In Beijing, the highest officers watched as their armies fell silent forever. Humanity had always believed its weapons were powerful, but against the invaders, they were nothing. Then came the ground assault. From the ships, strange pods fell like seeds from the sky. When they opened, tall armored figures emerged. Their bodies were metallic, their eyes glowing white, and their movements fast and merciless. They carried weapons that fired streams of burning light, cutting through concrete and steel as if it were paper. Soldiers who tried to resist were wiped out in seconds. People who saw these creatures described them as nightmares walking. They were taller than any human, stronger than any machine, and colder than death itself. They moved in silence, their armor shining, their weapons humming, and their eyes locked on every living thing. They hunted humans not with rage, but with calm precision, as if it was nothing more than a routine. Panic turned into chaos. Cities became rivers of running people. Families abandoned their homes, trying to escape, but there was nowhere safe to go. Roads were filled with burning cars, screams echoed in every street, and the sky itself seemed to press down with fear. Some people begged for mercy, raising white flags, but the invaders did not even look at them. They were not here to talk. They were here to conquer. In the United Nations building, leaders tried to hold one last emergency meeting. Some demanded surrender, others shouted for more attacks, but in the end, their voices meant nothing. The aliens had already shown the truth, humanity's leaders had no power. One by one, communication lines went dead. The world was collapsing into silence, and no one could stop it. Still, not everyone gave up. In hidden bunkers, in secret labs, a few men and women whispered about a plan. They knew something the public did not. For years, in fear of a day like this, Earth had been preparing. A weapon unlike any other was waiting, but it had been locked away because it was too dangerous, too powerful, too unpredictable. Now, with humanity on the edge of extinction, the time was coming to use it. The aliens believed victory was already theirs. They did not know that beneath the ruins of Earth, something was stirring. Something built not just with technology, but with the rage, imagination, and courage of humankind. The second day ended with burning cities, broken armies, and hopeless hearts. The invaders had shown their power, and the world had seen its weakness. But in the shadows, a whisper spread. Humanity had a secret. Humanity had a final weapon. And soon, the aliens would learn what it meant to fight against humans who had nothing left to lose. The third day began under a red sky. Smoke from burning cities covered the world like a dark blanket. Millions of people were gone, millions more were running, and the rest were hiding in fear. The alien ships still floated above, their shadows spreading hopelessness across every land. Humanity was broken, but not yet finished. In secret places, something long hidden was waiting to rise. Far beneath the surface of the earth, deep inside mountains and hidden bunkers, secret labs had been working for years. These places were unknown to the public, hidden even from most governments. Only a few leaders and scientists knew of their existence. They called it Project Titan. It was a plan born from fear, fear that one day Earth would face a threat greater than itself. That day had now arrived. Project Titan was not just a weapon. It was a dream mixed with terror. Scientists had combined human technology with artificial intelligence so powerful that even they feared it. They had built machines taller than skyscrapers, armored with metals never seen before, powered by reactors that glowed like captured stars. These machines were not ordinary weapons. They were giants designed to fight giants. But there was something more. The scientists had discovered that machines alone could not defeat unknown enemies. Pure logic was too predictable. The aliens might be stronger, but humans had something different: imagination, courage, and emotion. Project Titan was built to merge human spirit with machine power. Each Titan required a pilot, someone who could connect mind to machine, someone who could give the cold metal a human heart. For years, the Titans had been kept hidden. They were too dangerous, too unstable, and the world was not ready. But now, with alien armies burning cities and crushing nations, there was no choice left. The order was given. Wake the Titans. In a hidden base somewhere beneath the Rocky Mountains, alarms rang. Engineers and soldiers rushed through metallic halls. Giant doors opened, revealing enormous chambers where the Titans slept. Their bodies were covered in thick armor, their arms like towers, their heads shaped with glowing eyes. They looked like gods of war waiting to be awakened. Pilots stepped forward. Some were soldiers, some were scientists, and some were ordinary people chosen for their unique ability to connect with the Titans. They had been training in secret, preparing for a day they hoped would never come. Now, standing before the machines, they felt both fear and pride. They were humanity's last chance. The connection process began. Pilots climbed into the cores of the Titans, where chairs waited surrounded by glowing circuits. Helmets lowered over their heads, linking their minds to the giant machines. For a moment, they felt nothing, only darkness. Then, suddenly, they felt the weight of metal limbs, the power of reactors, the strength of a machine larger than a city block. They were no longer only human. They had become something more. Outside, the world still burned. Alien soldiers marched through streets, hunting survivors. Ships hovered above, scanning for resistance. But then, from deep underground, the earth shook. Sirens blared across the alien fleet as strange signals rose from beneath the ground. The first Titan awakened. The mountain split open as the giant machine rose from its hidden chamber. Its eyes glowed blue, lighting the smoke-filled sky. Its armor shone like fire. The ground trembled with each step. For the first time since the invasion began, the humans did not look up in fear, but in awe. The aliens turned their attention to the rising machine. Their ships aimed weapons, and their soldiers prepared to fire. But the Titan moved with speed that no one expected. Its fist struck the earth, sending out a shockwave that tore alien troops apart. Then it leapt higher than any human machine ever could and smashed into an alien ship. Metal ripped apart, fire erupted, and the alien shield cracked. The crowd of survivors watching from the ruins screamed with hope. More Titans awakened across the world. In Europe, one rose from the Alps. In Asia, another emerged from beneath the desert sands. In Africa, one climbed out of an underground base hidden for decades. Each Titan brought a piece of humanity's spirit, each one powered by a pilot who refused to surrender. The aliens had believed the war was already won. They had never imagined Earth had prepared for them. They had never expected machines powered by human rage and courage. The balance of the war was about to change. The third day ended not with silence, but with thunder. Titans walked the earth, and humanity had found its answer. The invaders had come to conquer, but they were about to face something they could not calculate, something they could not predict. They were about to face humans who had become giants. The fourth day of the invasion began with fire in the sky. The aliens had thought their victory was certain, but now they faced something they had never seen before. Across the world, the Titans had awakened. These giant machines, guided by human pilots, rose from the ground like ancient gods called back to protect their people. Their glowing eyes cut through the smoke, and their thunderous steps shook the earth. Humanity had unleashed its hidden power. In New York, the first Titan faced a swarm of alien soldiers. The creatures fired their weapons, beams of burning light cutting through the streets, but the Titan moved like no machine ever built. With one swing of its arm, it smashed through a dozen aliens, their armor shattering like glass. Rockets launched from its shoulders, streaking into the sky, tearing apart alien drones. Survivors hiding in basements looked up through cracks in the rubble and saw hope for the first time. In Beijing, another Titan emerged from the ruins of the city. Its pilot, a young soldier with nothing left to lose, screamed as the machine roared to life. The alien ships circled above, their shields glowing, but the Titan charged. It leapt higher than any human machine should have been able to, crashing into the side of an alien warship. Metal split, flames burst, and for the first time, the invader's ship fell from the sky. The explosion lit the city in orange fire, and people hiding in the ruins cried with joy. The aliens were not used to resistance. They had conquered other worlds, crushed other species, and none had ever dared to fight back like this. Their strategy was precise, their weapons unstoppable, but the Titans broke their rhythm. Unlike machines, the Titans were unpredictable because they were part human. Each pilot fought differently, using instinct, rage, and creativity. One Titan tore apart alien cannons and used them as weapons. Another ripped through buildings to trap alien soldiers in rubble. Each move surprised the invaders, and for the first time, they hesitated. But victory was not easy. The aliens fought back with fury. They sent larger machines from their ships, towering monsters of metal and fire. These were alien war beasts, built for destruction. One of them struck a Titan in London, crushing it to the ground. Its pilot screamed as the connection burned through his mind, and the machine fell silent forever. Humanity cheered for victories but wept for every Titan that was lost. Still, the battles spread. In Africa, a Titan rose from the desert and fought under the blazing sun, smashing alien war machines into the sand. In Europe, survivors gathered in the mountains to watch as two Titans fought side by side, pushing back invaders who had thought the continent was already theirs. In South America, a Titan emerged from the jungle, moving through the trees like a hunter, ambushing alien squads one by one. The world that had been silent with fear was now filled with the sound of war. Explosions shook the skies, beams of energy lit the night, and the ground thundered with the steps of giants. The balance had changed. Humanity was no longer hiding. Humanity was fighting back. In the alien command ship, leaders of the invasion watched with cold glowing eyes. They had not expected such resistance. Their machines calculated the odds, but the numbers did not make sense. These humans were weak, divided, and fragile, yet they had created something powerful enough to damage their fleet. The aliens did not feel fear the way humans did, but they felt something else, confusion. For the first time, they were uncertain. But the aliens were not finished. If humans had Titans, they would unleash something even greater. Deep within the alien fleet, a weapon slept, waiting for the order. If the Titans continued to fight, the aliens would answer with their ultimate force. On the ground, the pilots knew the war was only beginning. Inside the Titans, their minds burned with exhaustion, their bodies shaking under the strain, but they refused to stop. They fought not only for themselves, but for every child hiding in the ruins, for every family running through the smoke, for every city that still stood. As night fell on the fourth day, the world looked different. The sky still burned, cities still lay in ruins, and millions were still gone. But now, across the smoke and fire, stood giants with glowing eyes. Humanity had shown its spirit. Humanity had shown its strength. And far above, in the cold black of space, the alien fleet prepared to answer. The war had only just begun, and the next strike would decide if Earth's hope was real or only a brief spark before darkness. The fifth day of the invasion began with smoke covering every horizon. Entire nations were on fire, oceans were filled with wreckage, and cities were nothing but ruins. Yet for the first time since the aliens arrived, humanity had not only survived but had struck back. The Titans stood tall, scattered across continents, their glowing eyes cutting through the darkness. People hiding in basements whispered about them, children drew pictures of them on broken walls, and soldiers raised their fists when they saw them. The Titans had become a symbol, a sign that Earth was not finished. But the war was far from won. For every alien ship destroyed, 2 more appeared. For every Titan victory, another Titan fell. Pilots were dying. Their minds were burning from the strain of connecting with the machines, their bodies breaking under the endless battles. Each Titan was powerful, but they were not invincible. In London, a Titan lay silent in the river, its chest torn open by alien fire. In Beijing, another had collapsed after fighting 3 alien war machines alone. In South America, a pilot pushed his Titan into an alien mothership, destroying it in a blast that lit the jungle for miles. His name was never known, but survivors spoke of him as a hero who gave his life for the planet. The aliens were learning. Their machines adapted with every battle, their shields adjusted, and their weapons became sharper. They realized the Titans were dangerous, and they began to focus their attacks on them. Wherever a Titan appeared, fleets of alien ships swarmed. The invaders no longer saw humans as weak insects. They saw them as a threat. Inside the alien command ship, far above the Earth, the leaders of the invasion gathered. Their glowing eyes stared at holograms of the battlefield. They had underestimated this species. They had thought humans would break quickly, like others before them. But humans fought differently. They were reckless, unpredictable, and full of emotions the aliens could not understand. Rage, hope, sacrifice. These things made humans dangerous. The alien leaders gave a new command. If the Titans were Earth's final weapon, then the invaders would unleash their own. Deep within their fleet rested something ancient, a weapon built not for conquest but for extermination. A ship larger than any city, armed with a core that could burn an entire planet. It was their last and greatest tool of war, and they had saved it for the day when resistance became too strong. That day had come. On Earth, pilots of the Titans felt a new fear rising in their hearts. Their machines trembled as sensors picked up the movement in the sky. Survivors pointed upward as a shadow larger than all the others emerged from the clouds. The alien mothership, their ultimate weapon, had arrived. Its hull stretched across the heavens, its surface covered with weapons that glowed like suns. The very sight of it made people fall to their knees. The mothership opened fire. A beam of pure energy ripped across the ground, splitting mountains in half and turning forests into seas of ash. Titans tried to fight, but even their weapons bounced off its shields. One Titan charged with all its strength, only to be erased in an instant by the ship's fury. Humanity had unleashed its power, but the aliens had answered with something beyond imagination. In hidden bunkers, world leaders and commanders gathered around screens. They saw the mothership tearing through Earth's last defenses, and despair spread across the room. Some whispered that it was over, that nothing could stop it. But others refused to give up. They remembered the sacrifices, the pilots who had died, the cities that still stood. Humanity could not surrender. Not yet. The pilots knew what had to be done. They could not fight the mothership alone. They would have to unite, to strike together as one force. Titans from every corner of the world began to march toward the same point. Across ruined highways, through deserts and forests, across oceans and rivers, they moved. Survivors watched them pass and cheered through their tears. Humanity's giants were gathering for one final stand. As night fell, the mothership hovered above, its shadow swallowing the stars. The remaining Titans stood beneath it, glowing blue against the red sky. Their pilots, exhausted and broken, tightened their grips on the controls. They knew most of them would not survive the coming battle. But they also knew that if they failed, the Earth itself would die. The 5th day ended with silence before the storm. Humanity's last hope stood ready. The alien mothership prepared its final strike. And the fate of the planet hung in the balance of one final battle. The 6th day of the invasion began with a sky on fire. The alien mothership floated above the Earth like a black moon, its weapons glowing brighter than the sun. Below, the last Titans stood ready. Their armor was cracked, their weapons burned, and their pilots were broken with exhaustion. But their eyes still shone with defiance. Humanity was not finished yet. The mothership unleashed its fury. Beams of pure energy rained down, splitting the ground, boiling the oceans, and shattering mountains. Entire landscapes were erased in seconds. The Titans charged forward anyway. They roared through the smoke, firing rockets, swinging their colossal arms, and striking at the alien shields. Sparks lit the battlefield, explosions echoed like thunder, and the earth shook under the weight of giants. One Titan leapt high into the air, driving its blade deep into an alien war machine, tearing it apart before being struck down itself. Another wrapped its arms around a massive alien beast, dragging it into a collapsing building so that both were destroyed. Every step, every strike, was paid with sacrifice. Inside their cockpits, the pilots felt their bodies failing. Blood ran from their noses, their hands trembled, and their minds burned under the pressure of the connection. But they kept fighting. They thought of the families still hiding underground, the children waiting for rescue, the billions depending on them. They knew there was no escape. Victory or extinction. Nothing else. The Titans focused their attack on the mothership. Together, they struck its shields again and again. For hours the sky burned with the clash of human steel against alien fire. Slowly, cracks appeared. The invincible armor of the mothership began to weaken. The aliens had never faced such relentless resistance. The humans were dying, but they refused to stop. Finally, the shield of the mothership flickered. One Titan launched everything it had left, a storm of missiles tearing into the exposed hull. The explosion rocked the skies, but the ship still stood. It turned its weapons toward the Titans, and with one devastating blast, 3 of them were erased in an instant. Their pilot screamed, then fell silent forever. Only a handful of Titans remained. Among them was one pilot who had nothing left to lose. His family was gone, his city destroyed, and his world on the edge of death. He knew the mothership's core was the key. If it could be destroyed, the fleet would fall. But reaching it meant sacrifice. He pushed his Titan forward, ignoring the voices of the other pilots begging him to stop. He charged through alien fire, his machine torn apart piece by piece. One arm was blown away, half the armor melted, but still he ran. He reached the mothership, leapt onto its surface, and drove deep into its hull. Sparks and flames erupted as he forced the Titan's reactor to overload. Inside the cockpit, the pilot smiled for the first time in days. He whispered a single word to himself, for Earth. Then he triggered the detonation. The sky turned white. The explosion ripped through the mothership, tearing its core apart. A wave of energy spread across the alien fleet. One by one, their ships flickered, cracked, and fell from the sky. Alien soldiers collapsed in the streets, their machines turning lifeless. The invasion force was broken in an instant. When the light faded, the mothership was gone, and only burning fragments rained down across the world. The battlefield was silent. The remaining Titans stood among the ruins, their pilots breathing heavily, their hearts heavy with loss. Humanity had won, but the cost was beyond measure. Across the earth, survivors emerged from hiding. They looked to the skies and saw no more shadows, only stars. For the first time in 6 days, the night was clear. People wept, people prayed, people embraced. They had survived the end of the world. In the ruins of New York, children painted the symbol of a Titan on broken walls. In the deserts of Africa, survivors lit fires and sang songs of victory. In Asia, bells rang across shattered temples. The story of the Titans spread quickly. The names of the pilots who had given their lives became legends. And the final sacrifice of the lone pilot who destroyed the mothership became eternal. The aliens had come to conquer, but they had left a message across the galaxy. Humans were not weak. Humans were not prey. Humans were fighters who could turn fear into fire and despair into strength. The war was over. Earth was scarred, but it stood free. And in the silence that followed, one truth echoed across every land and every heart. Never underestimate humanity.